And I had to learn really quickly how to adapt. And he said, it's okay to feel discouraged. It's okay to fall down. It's how quickly you get back up that's going to determine your tenacity and your grit.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I listened to a podcast the other day, and I could hear myself in my life that every job that you have, whether it's a really great job or whether you feel it's a sucky job or whatever, is prepping you for the thing that you're supposed to be and do. I also want somebody that is going to hustle, because that's the hard part of getting into business. I think real estate's been glamorized. And, you know, they look at HGTV or they, you know, and they're like, oh, I'll get a client, I'll go show them 3 houses and they pick one.
Yeah.
And it takes so much more grit and hustle behind the scenes.
Well, welcome. This is Eric Hamilton with the Rate of Success podcast. I am really excited today. I have my good friend, someone who I've known a really long time in this business, someone I respect immensely, the wonderful Dina Furlow. So Dina is someone that I've known for a really long time. She, one of the first realtors, I don't know if we've talked about this a little bit, one of the first realtors to really give me an opportunity, and always very respectful. So, I'm super excited to have her on the podcast. So, Dina, why don't you tell me a little bit about how long you've been in the business, where you're at currently, and just a little bit about your business so far.
Well, I've been in the business, gosh, I think almost 25 years.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
I know, it's crazy.
That's crazy. I'm getting so old. I took a little bit of a break the last couple of years. I was in leadership and all of that. So now I'm jumping back in the business, which feels really good.
Yeah.
It's my first love, right?
Yeah.
So it feels good to be all back and present with business.
So 25 years in the business. Obviously, you've seen a lot of different markets. You've experienced a lot of different markets. Now going into leadership. What was that kind of transition like, and what did you learn going through that a little bit?
Oh my goodness, that's a whole nother set of, that's so much. So the question is, what did I learn and why did I transition? I am such a growth fiend, right? I want to keep growing. I'm listening to podcasts all the time. I'm listening to YouTubes. I'm listening to audio things all the time. So in my car, I don't have the radio on. I just have things that I'm listening to grow.
Yeah.
And so when the opportunity presented itself, because I've been in business for, 21, 22 years in real estate, I became a MAPS coach. So I became a coach within Keller Williams world. And I loved that. I loved pouring into other agents because after so many years of business, you have a few nuggets, right? Yeah. And so I became a coach and I loved that. And I got tapped on the shoulder to be in leadership. And what I really believe, and I've done a lot of thought process and introspect about what I learned, and it was so much. Yeah. I mean, so much. It was almost like this huge learning phase condensed into a short period of time that I could not get on the real estate field, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And so it helps me also now that I've stepped back out, it helps me care for people at a different level, care for agents, care for people in office, care for clients at a different level because you've seen the whole entire view of real estate, right?
Yeah.
I've been in through all the markets since, 2003, 2002, and now I've been through all of the steps almost in real estate. So it kind of gave me a better, broader perspective.
What I love about what you said about that is really, I've done some leadership and, working with loan officers. And one of the things that I think I've gotten more out of it than they've gotten out of it, just for the simple fact of being able to see the business through them, kind of, because I think when we're in the business, I've been in the business over 20 years, you see the business a particular way, and then we kind of get almost where we have this like lens on where we don't kind of see everything. Yeah. And when you're actually able to see how other people see it, it does open up a ton of opportunities and a lot of growth. I love how you said how you listen to podcasts because that's something very similar to what I do. I guess the question I always ask, which I love, is nobody ever plans to get into, the real estate industry. Nobody plans to be a mortgage lender. What was your entrance into the business and how did you kind of stumble in to real estate?
I don't know if you even know this story. When we moved to Illinois a long time ago, my husband was doing real estate with.
I did not know that.
No, I didn't think you did.
Yeah.
He had been doing it in another state, in Texas, part-time. And so we moved here, and he was like, I think you should do real estate. I think you would really love it. And we had purchased our house with a very successful team at that time.
Yeah.
And I just, some aspects didn't leave me very cared for, even though I didn't know much about real estate. And I kept thinking, imagine what somebody could do with business if they really cared about the person, not just the transaction, literally like that. And my husband said, I think you should do this. And I said, I'm not smart enough. I don't think I can do that. And I have thought about that so many times because I think we all feel inept, not prepared, for the journey, whatever. And I pushed back for a long time. And finally, I decided to do it. And I joined a team at the time on 75th Street. That's where we were.
That's where I met you.
Yes. Yeah. And I joined a team, and it was not a good fit. It was not a good fit. And part of me would have said, okay, this is not for me, right? And something changed inside of me at that time because that team leader said to me, this is the worst thing you will ever do to leave my team. You will never amount to anything in real estate, and you will never be successful.
Wow.
And I don't know about you, but if somebody tells me, no, I can't do something, that's my, okay, that's it. I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
And at the time I was crushed. I thought, oh my gosh, see, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And then something changed inside of me and said, oh no, I'm going to go get it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what started.
I love it. So you mentioned something about, coming onto a team, and a lot of people that I, follow and I see how difficult it is to build a team. I struggle with it. It's something we've talked about at times.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is an opportunity for a newer agent, and why it works for some, why it doesn't work for others? I mean, I have my thoughts on it, but I always am very interested on building a team, no matter what industry, because it's probably one of the hardest things to do. And even people that are good at it still struggle with it at times.
100%.
And it takes so much time. So, in your experience of, entering the business on a team and now managing a team, do you feel any differently about it as a team owner now than that you've learned over the years? And why do you feel like it's such a hard thing to bring people on and keep them on? Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
I think that not everybody's created equal, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody has the same motivation for doing something. And sometimes a team is not where somebody should be.
Yeah.
And so that's okay. But finding the right people, I dubbed it my 4 H's.
Okay.
I want somebody, that is hungry, that is really, really hungry for business, that wants to succeed. And hungry means different things to different people.
Yeah.
But I know what it means to me. So I know how hungry I am. So I need somebody that's going to be hungry, that's going to go after it. I also want somebody that is going to hustle, because that's the hard part of getting into business. I think real estate's been glamorized. And, they look at HGTV or they, and they're like, oh, I'll get a client, I'll go show them 3 houses and they pick one.
Yeah.
And it takes so much more grit and hustle behind the scenes. So when I look for somebody, I'm saying I need somebody that's got to be hungry, that's got to hustle, and then that's going to be humble.
Yeah.
Because I think you have to have that perfect blend of a go-getter, but also of humility, that is clients first. I'm going to serve my client.
Yeah.
I'm not here to collect a check. I want to serve them for the longitude that I know them for, right?
Yeah.
And so I need a mixture of that. And then at the end, I want somebody that's happy.
Yeah.
If they're not happy, they're not going to be the right fit. So I think sometimes it's hard to get a culmination of all of those things, knowing that you're still going to be on a team, that you're going to get the support, that you get all that. It's a hard match. It's a hard match for somebody. And they might be hustlers and hungry and humble and all of that in their own regard, but it might not be a fit for what somebody's looking for, because my level of hungry and hustle might be here and theirs might be here, or, whatever. So I think it's hard to find the combination of
I love your breakdown, because I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but they're not as defined in what you just said, because I think it's very perfect what you said.
Yeah.
One of the things I always say is that no one's going to care about our business more than you and I.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
But you got to get people to buy into the vision that you have for your business. And you got to be able to inspire those people to want to hustle, but you can teach anybody the real estate business. I can teach anybody the mortgage business. But the thing that I always say is like, they have to care.
They have to care.
Like they have to like have that in them.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of moments throughout the day that we have in our industry where, you have an opportunity either do one thing or that fork in the road and do something. And if you care, you tend to make the decisions that will always be good for the consumer. And that is what separates a great lender or a great realtor from. And it's hard to find, because the problem is too, is like when you meet people, they always tell you everything that you want to hear.
Right.
And I always say to my branch or, when we hire someone, like until we get in one of those like busy moments and you see someone under that stress, we never really know what you have.
Right.
Because you really need to break people down a little bit to kind of get there. So I love the way you broke it down, because no matter who I talk to in this business, everyone's always looking to build a team. Now, do you feel like the business, as we've evolved and as the business has evolved, it seems like the teams have obviously changed a little bit, and that could be volume-wise, but do you feel like that is going to change in the future as far as staffing and the things that you need? Because obviously, it comes down to expenses. And when you have staff, you have expenses. It's something I talk about every single day. Do you feel like there's going to be a change in how teams are structured?
Probably.
Yeah.
I haven't given a whole lot of thoughts of how it's going to change for the team environment. But I think it probably will change. It has to change to some extent, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think too, like, obviously we had everything that happened last year with the commission, which really hasn't changed much. I feel like the business is pretty much the same. What I do feel, though, is I feel like there's been some realtors who have done really, really well in that environment, and then others who have maybe taken a little step back. Have you kind of seen? Okay. So do you feel like the disruption kind of gives some an opportunity more than others?
Oh, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Of course. Disruption is always an opportunity.
And you've been through a lot of disruptions. And knowing you've done really well in a lot of those disruptions. So is there anything that you can kind of like, so prior to getting into real estate, what did Dina Furlow do?
I worked at a law firm in Texas, the largest law firm in Texas. And I was a legal assistant. And then I was an office manager for a small company. And he's the owner of that company, is still my friend. So but it was part-time because my kiddos were young and all that. So that's what I did. So it was somewhat of leadership still.
Do you lean on anything that you learned in those environments in your real estate career?
It's funny. I listened to a podcast the other day, and I could hear myself in my life that every job that you have, whether it's a really great job or whether you feel it's a sucky job or whatever, is prepping you for the thing that you're supposed to be and do, right? And so I'm sure I learned pieces of what needed to be done and how to be a better human and a better leader and a better employer and all of those things. But at the time, I'm just like, I don't want to do this, or it wasn't my favorite thing. But they were all prepping you to do the thing that is your passion or that you love or is your final job or career destination. And I truly believe all of that. I don't care if when I was working at Steak and Shake. It was a service. It was my first job, so it was my service oriented. So everything is a preparation for your skills and talents, and how you do one thing is how you should do everything.
I love that, and I love getting that information about what people did before, because I do feel like it totally shapes. So I never went to college, so my experience was always in the career that I did, and I worked down at the Board of Trade forever, and I felt like that experience is what kind of molded kind of who I am, and kind of the experiences that I had during that, really, and kind of the jobs that I had leading up to that, and the failures and the things really kind of drive who I am today because of those experiences. So I think it's important sometimes when we go back and we think of it, because sometimes we just put it out of our head and we think it's so insignificant.
Oh, no.
But it's really kind of shapes who we are. And it's when I interview someone, I always talk about, what they did before and the experiences and things like that, because my team always laughs at me because when a loan officer, when I interview a loan officer, the first question I always ask them is, well, what's your support like at home? Do you have, does your wife realize or your husband realize you're going to be doing open houses on a Saturday, on a Sunday, or you're going to be taking a phone call at 8:00? And are you because I feel like, I wouldn't be here without the support of my wife. Your husband's amazing. That is that's a big part. And I feel like that's the piece that most people don't prepare for. And if you don't have that support, it's really difficult.
Yeah. And I love that you talked about college.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you know this either. I never graduated college, and neither did my husband. So we always had to work a little harder I didn't want that stigma. I didn't want to feel bad about that, but it was clearly.
But don't sometimes that you felt like you didn't want to share that with people?
Absolutely.
Forever. I just posted on this on LinkedIn, probably a month ago for the first time.
Really?
Most people didn't even know that I didn't go to college. I'll tell the people in the office, but I finally, you know what it was? It was a conversation with my son. My son asked me, and I was like, no, I didn't go. And I explained the whole story and the reason behind it. And I don't have anything bad against going to college. It was just my experience. It's just the way it worked out. But it was something I was embarrassed about for a really long time.
Me too. Yeah. And now I actually feel like it's my
100%
thing, right? Because it's because of that, I got to experience this, and I didn't come into the working world with debt and things like that. And I overcame things without that. And it made us, again, it's a stepping stone. It made us who we are in spite of. So it doesn't define you. It actually creates who you're going to be moving forward.
Well, and I think it gives people how I always say it is your path doesn't need to be determined by what happened in the past. One would say hey, you didn't go to college, you're going to be, this, you're not going to make it. But I never thought of it that way. The other thing I always talk about is I had I stuttered a ton when I was in sixth grade. Wow. So I had a speech therapist, and here I am. My mom always jokes about it. I'm doing a podcast, I'm on social media, and here I was
great.
I was I would stutter constantly in sixth grade. I was afraid to raise my hand. When I would do speeches, I wouldn't speak in front of people. And now here I speak all the time in front of realtors and everybody else. I'm doing a podcast. I'm on social media. So I think it goes to show, you really got to challenge yourself and you got to put yourself out there. And I love how you said where you feel like you got to work that much harder because I feel like that's, I'm always trying to prove something. And that can be a bad, that's not always great.
It's not always great.
But it also, I feel like it gives me that grit. That's where I don't give up. If someone tells me no.
That's right.
Right before you came here, I had a client that, was going to go somewhere else. And it's I should just walk away from deal, but I can't walk away from stuff. I have this mentality in my mind where I want to win. And again, you can't teach that to everyone because sometimes people just want to walk away. So I love that you said that. So, getting into the business, obviously going through, so you got in business what year? 2002. Okay. So you had the run up to 2008. So things were amazing. Business is going great.
Right.
It was a great time. It was easy to get a mortgage back then.
A little too easy.
Yeah, it was a little too easy. So 2008 happens.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like for you personally? And as far as what did you take from that going into where we are today?
Yeah. I love that question because when 2008 happened, you could see the chaos, you could feel the chaos, you could feel the fear, right? I know you remember. And everybody's talking about short sales. And it's I'm not doing short sales. I'm just not doing short sales.
Yeah.
And then I went, if I don't do a short sale, that means I will be out of this business this year.
Yeah.
Because 75% of that county was distressed property sales.
It's crazy.
And so I mean, I did all the stats, I did all the numbers, and I was like, if I didn't, and it was painful, it was emotional. You're visiting with people and you're taking on their sorrow, basically. It was hard. It was hard. But that, again, I had to step up and learn something different, right? Learn the short sales, foreclosures, how that worked, because it was 75% of my business.
It's crazy.
And so I learned very quickly that you have to adapt.
Yeah.
You have to change, you have to shift, you have to be able to move forward with the market. It's not always going to be like this.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's going to be good and
bad. Like when you're sitting at a kitchen table, I think that's the thing that most people don't understand about realtors. It's one of the few, professions that still sit face to face across from a family in their house.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone understands like how like hard that is.
Yeah.
And the emotions during that time. It's easy when you're telling them you're going to get top dollar and you're going to be able to buy this home and we're going to help you. But when you're sitting across from someone, you're telling them, you're $80,000 underwater, you're not going to be able to purchase another home.
Yeah.
Like that takes a level of professionalism and that I don't think people really understand like what that time was like. So,
Yeah, and to have to do it day after day after day. It's like tomorrow's not going to be any better. So you have to do it again. So you have to pull up your bootstraps and keep going. If you have a disappointment, you have to. My husband actually gave me really great advice one time when I would get so emotional if somebody else would get a deal or, get a listing or whatever. And I would sit for days and cry. And I had to learn really quickly how to adapt. And he said, it's okay to feel discouraged. It's okay to fall down. It's how quickly you get back up that's going to determine your tenacity and your grit.
Yeah.
And I knew right then that I wasn't going to wallow in it. I had to get up. I had to keep going. I had to, to be able to help these people.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt. I felt like I needed to help
them. Do you feel
like
something we always talk about with like top producers is like we have to make like 100 decisions in a day. Sometimes we don't even realize that we do. Okay. But I think that's what separates the good people in our industry from the bad is being able to make quick decisions, be okay with that decision and not dwell on it. Because there's a lot of people, and I'm sure you saw this as a coach, is like every decision is like they have to think through it. And it's like, it's being able to be just throughout the day making decisions. I remember the story I always tell is, a buddy of mine wanted to put a fence at his house. And he's like, and I didn't really think about this too much. So we go over there and they're talking about every single thing and this and that. And it's like 2 hours in and we haven't done anything.
Wow.
And I'm like,
let's go.
I'm bossing everyone. I'm like, I do this. Like, this is not how I run my day. Like, I need to be like, and they're like, Eric, like, calm down. And I'm like, and it hit me like, I'm so used to like stuff coming at me, making a decision and then just moving on.
Yeah.
And I never really thought about it that much, but I feel like that was something that I really adapted well to during that time in 2008 as there was just so much coming at us.
Yeah.
It was like drinking from a fire hydrant. And taking the calls. I remember going home and taking all these calls from people crying, I'm going to lose my house. And the emotions behind that. And it was hard to like pick yourself up each and every day because there was just so many people that were losing everything that they had. Yeah. And then obviously, I think what a lot of people think about is there was obviously people taking advantage of the time, but those aren't the people that I remember. It's all the families that just got in a
displaced.
bad. Yeah. So I feel like going through that really helped me, and I'm assuming you feel that way, like later on when things got easy and then people, because that skill set that you kind of learned during that time, I feel like I use every single day.
All the time.
Yeah. And I don't think if you've been through that or any downturn, you don't really, there's no way to teach someone how to deal with those conversations. Because I think, again, it's always easy to handle the wins.
Yeah.
It's really how you handle the losses
that, or the difficult times.
That really kind of determine how successful you are.
Yeah.
Because some people can't handle it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this also gives you perspective.
Yeah.
So this year, it's been a little bit of a different year.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm thinking, well, it's so much better than 2008 to 2010.
Exactly.
If I can do that, I can do this. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, it was perspective that helps shape whatever market I'm in now.
Yeah.
So when people were all up in arms last year, I was like, it's going to be fine because I've got perspective. I've got something to be able to compare it to and to say, okay, I could do that, so I can do this.
Yeah.
And I just have to shift and adapt, and that's it.
So you've talked a little bit about your husband. Like, what role does your husband kind of play day to day? Like, because I always say, like, our number one loan officer gave one of the best analogies ever, which I loved. And he's super successful, but he's got kids at home, but he's like, I'm number one at work, but when I come home, I'm number 5.
Oh,
like behind like his wife and his kids. And it's like, I think, my wife, is my biggest supporter, but she also brings me back to reality. Yeah. Which I need.
Yes.
Because, so like, what role does your husband kind of play in all that?
He is absolutely my number one cheerleader. Yeah. Absolutely my support system. I mean, he's the one that believed in me to even start in real estate. Yeah. And I didn't believe in myself. So he's always the one that is going to encourage me. Yeah. But you say, bring it back to reality. He also does my finances for real estate. Yeah. Because I'm not so good at that part. I mean, I can do the math, but I'm not a great bookkeeper. And so he does that. And I recently discovered that I am highly ADHD. Yeah. After 56 years on the planet, I just now figured it out. I
think we all are a little bit.
I think most of us are, right? Yeah. But I'm like off the charts. Yeah. And I didn't know that. And that was really a struggle because I didn't know why the lack of organization and things like this, right? Yeah. And coming through this, and I just discovered it like in the last 6 months, 8 months. Yeah. And coming through this, it's all the pieces kind of have come together. Yeah. And it gives us a better appreciation for the partnership that we have. Yeah. And he's like, man, if I would have realized that, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I wouldn't have probably said things but he's always supportive. It's just frustration because he's such a business person and I wasn't when I got into real estate. Most people aren't. Yeah. Most people are like, oh, go sell some houses. Yeah. They don't realize there's a business behind it.
Oh, 100%.
But I didn't step into that business acumen until 2016. Yeah. And so going through all of that, he's been not just my rock, not my support, but he's also been the voice of reason to say, this could be better or this could be better. Yeah. He's not going to sugarcoat that part.
And I think that's why I think spouses play such an important role it doesn't get talked about enough. Yeah. Because someone doesn't have a spouse, you don't want to make them feel bad about it. But I truly believe, because I've seen it where loan officers, they do something and they feel guilty because their significant other is like, you need to be home, you need to do this, you need to, there's a ton of sacrifice. There is. When you are in this business. Yeah. There's things that I miss. I try to make everything, but I miss stuff. And that's a sacrifice. But if you're a team and there's understanding, ultimately, it will work out. But if you don't have that support, this business can be really difficult. Absolutely. And it can ruin your relationship because you're not on the same
path. Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I flew by the seat of my pants during that unorganization time. Yeah. I would go here, go there. I was gone all the time. And he fought for me enough to say, you need to figure this out to be better at work and then so that you can be more present at home. Yeah. And I am forever grateful for that because at first I was like, oh, I'm taking that offense, you know? Yeah. But he did it because I was all over the place and I wasn't running my business organized at all. It wasn't even a business.
But that's why you need someone at home to do that because at work, they will almost put you on a pedestal because you work so hard. And you're like, you want to be like Dina. You want to be like, because Dina's doing this and Dina's so successful and you want to be like Dina. So you're in your mind, you're like, this is what I should be doing. But you miss that's where you need someone to bring it back. Because whatever sometimes is good for the company may not be good for Dina. And that's what I always talk about that too. And I think it's really important to have that perspective. And, I need my wife to kind of knock me down a little bit to bring me back to reality. Yeah. Because
like it or not, that's
because we get this ego. I always say ego is the worst thing that happens to people in our industry. And we've both seen it. We've seen people that have done amazing things and then all of a sudden they're done because they don't have that perspective to be able to put them in the right. So I think it's really important. And I love talking about significant others because I think it's such an important piece of the puzzle.
Well, and that's why the humble piece is so important. I keep it front and center because I've been all that. Yeah. And and not because of fault of my own, but when things change, if you're not humble about where your success is coming from, if you're not humble about the fact that it takes a village, if you're not humble to know that this is a servant-oriented industry, if you're not humble about all of that, you're going to get knocked down.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's such a huge piece for me is that I am always grateful for the good. I'm always grateful for the not so good because it keeps me humble and it keeps me with a good perspective on what's real, you know?
Well, and I think we lose sight sometimes when we focus solely on the business of exactly what we do. I mean, we're helping people buy a home.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say to my team around Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's like, you think back to all your memories as a child around, you know, in a house, okay? And here we are helping people, you know, purchase a home and create this memory that the kids are going to have for years to come. And sometimes we make it so much harder than what it actually is. And we lose sight of that because we're in these like books or, you know, podcasts. Like I'm a podcast, I'm the same way, but sometimes I have to detach myself from that because I'm like, I'm helping people buy homes. Like at the end of the day, that's what I should be focused on. And I think we lose sight of that at the end of the day. So I think it's really important. So let's talk about the market a little bit. So obviously we've been through COVID. Okay. Crazy time. We were, you know, drinking from a fire hydrant. Everyone was purchasing. Where do you feel like, you know, we have rates, you know, as of today, rates are the lowest we've seen in like 10 months. What do you see happening from now until the end of the year? But more importantly, over the next couple of years, just based on where we've been?
Well, based on everything I've heard on podcasts and you know, tidbits, that I really feel like we're headed into another shift of a buyer's market once the rates drop. And what my conversations are with my clients and future clients is, okay, what is most important to you today? And how can we help you set up for the best situation, whether it's right now, and if they want to wait, a lot of people want to wait for the rates to drop, but that'll also put them in a crazy buyer's market that could be a whole nother thing that they don't want. So I think it's getting educated to be able to help educate our clients and future clients that need to move. And I think it's going to pick up a little bit and then kind of slow down again this year. I could be wrong, but that's kind of my gut.
I agree. Do you feel like one of the things I talk about all the time is we talk a lot about in marketing, and if you look at real estate and mortgage, we talk a lot about how to buy a home or how to sell a home. Like if you think about the marketing, 10 steps to sell a home, 10 steps. And that's all of our marketing for years have been on the how. The how is everywhere. You can go to YouTube. Like the customers don't, I don't feel like they have as many questions on the how.
No.
To me, it's on the why. Why should I buy now versus waiting? Why are home prices going to continue to go up? You know, why are home prices going down in Florida, but they're moving up in Illinois? Like, I feel like the why is the piece that we're missing. So on that, does that change how you communicate with your customers? And
100%.
You know, for years, not saying you would do this, but for years, people can meet a buyer at a home, show them a couple homes and write a contract. I feel like those days are over. Because there's such a thought process.
There is such a thought process.
And as crazy as it sounds, like, you know, I talk to all my clients either in a consultation. Nobody wants to meet with me anymore. I would love to do face-to-face, but nobody wants to do it anymore. So we do all through Zoom or on a phone call. But like, I feel like their questions are all around the why, not how. I'll talk about how, but they don't really care.
Agreed.
They're like, I'm coming to you for you to figure that out. My question is, am I going to buy and home price is going to go down? And why do I want to do it now versus later? Do you feel like the conversations are different? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So, and I love having good conversations. That's that's one of my, I guess, superpowers is making sure that my clients feel heard and seen. And when I discover for them what their real reason is for doing something, what happens most of the time is agents will just go, okay, you want to buy a house? Great. You want to see 123 Main Street? Great. When, where, and forget to ask the deep questions of what the whole process is. And
their why.
Their why. And so I think that is where we've slowed down to ask much, much more questions, many more questions to uncover why. What is it that this move means to them? How can I better help you with that? But I have to understand your purpose before I can go to the next step.
Yeah.
So I slow things down to then be able to help them more long term.
I think it's great. I was talking to my team the other day, is we've even changed. I do a lot of like 6-month and 12-month follow-ups where we do these calls to our past customers. And I've started to change those conversations, and I really break it down into 3 questions. You know, basically the first one is like, you know, are you aware of how much equity you have in your current home? Because 90% of the time they're not aware. Okay. The second one I always ask is, you know, have you, you know, I talk about debt a lot with people, because debt is at an all-time high, okay, and savings is at an all-time low. And I have to weave in the question a little bit because no one likes to talk about debt, but it is a huge concern for a lot of homeowners, as well as people that are buying a home or selling a home. I always talk about that because if you can solve for that, sometimes it gives them the opportunity. And then lastly, I always talk about, you know, are you planning on, do you have any expenses that you're going to incur in the near future? And through that, you identify all these different objections that they have in their mind of why, you know, maybe they want to move, maybe they have this perception. The problem is most of the people that are moving now are due to life events. They have a child, death in the family, you know, and those are very stressful moves for people during life events. Some of them, maybe not all of them. So it's getting people to have the conversation before, but our business has been so different because our phone was just ringing, you know, and we were reactive. Where now we have to really be proactive. And I think that's very difficult for people to understand that because it hasn't been that way in a really long time.
That's right.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. It was order takers for years.
Of course,
You know, instead of building the relationship and asking, you know, we didn't have time to slow down. We were just like, okay, go, check, next. But that also set us up for a negative situation in many cases because they overpaid and then they're feeling disgruntled because they paid too much when things calmed down. So,
well, we were, I mean, in certain markets, we were going well over list price.
And absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I mean. And so I like this market better because it gives us time to be more methodical and thought process and asking questions and all of that so we can better help them. Because I don't want to just close on a property. I want to make sure that my relationship with them is a very, very, very long term. I've had people from 20 years ago when I first was in the business are still doing business with us. And that's what I want, not because we want just repeat business, but because now we know their family. Now we know what's important to them. Now we know how to impact them and help them with whatever move they need at a different level.
So I love that. And this is somewhere I wanted to go. So I'll just ask you now. But so to me, you know, the business is massively changing. Okay. And the funnel is what I say is changing as well. So you have, you know, Rocket that purchased Redfin. Okay. So that's 5 million eyeballs every single month that will be able to go on a website. They'll be able to be referred a real estate agent. Okay. They'll be able to be referred a lender. Okay. So everyone's chasing that funnel to get to the top of the funnel. Okay. And that has changed for years. Zillow has tried to do this for years. We're trying to change the funnel and the business is changing. But what will always work, always, is developing the relationship with your database and maintaining that database. It sounds so basic, but as long as I've been in the business, it's probably the one thing that people have struggled the most to get good at.
That and systems.
But database is like the most important thing. And everyone says, oh, I have a database. Well, it's in my Excel spreadsheet or, you know, it's here, or I got the CRM, but I hate the CRM. And I send out whatever the normal stuff, but like nobody really understands like the amount of value of what is in there and how to do it. So do you know, on all this disruption and, you know, Rocket, Redfin, I feel like that's going to continue to evolve and other companies are going to try to do that. Do you kind of feel like the landscape is going to continue to change at a very rapid rate?
Yeah, with AI and everything else. Absolutely.
So where do you see, do you feel like it's going to change your business at all in the sense of how you look at things or the systems that you implement?
Yeah, absolutely. We've already made some changes for sure with AI and things like that to make sure that we're staying with that process and being proactive. But I 100% think that it's going to change because it has to with all of the technology and with all of the companies buying other ones. I mean, and I think that's why it's so important to have strong systems, adapt your systems if necessary, and then stay true to your core values.
But you touched on it already. You said in 2008 you had to pivot, and you had to, and I think those same principles apply to the same things that we're going through now.
That's right.
And I think someone like yourself who's been through those markets and had to pivot at the moment will have a much easier time pivoting now. Where, because I feel like all those experience allowed me to really kind of dive into video or AI and all the things that we're doing. Because to me, this is my opinion. I think, it's a common thing that people say, but AI is not going to replace a realtor or a lender.
A relationship,
It will replace those who are not leveraging AI. I look at AI to be able to do all these things behind the scenes that I would take hours for me to do.
That's what we're doing.
And that now can be done in minutes and is done for me. And, we're working on some amazing stuff where it's coming to me and I'm not having to do anything. That gives me more time to spend on client consultations face-to-face.
That's right.
So it's not taking away the face-to-face. And what I always say, it's the perfect combination. I think the top realtor and lenders moving forward will be able to scale their business in a way they never thought was possible.
That's right.
Because it's the perfect amount of technology that gives you more human touch.
That's right.
And because as much as people love AI, they're craving human interaction.
That's right.
And if you can leverage both to be able to do that, I think you can do. But I think there's a lot of stubborn people that are like, I don't want to do that. I'm better. AI is never going to and they're not understanding that it's not coming. Replacing you. It's just doing the things that take time. That you're away from your client. That now you can spend time with your client. I think that's the big difference. Is that
100%?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so we have the market. Obviously, if rates come down. Okay. So let's just say, do you have a feeling of a magic rate that would really turn the market upside down?
I think if there's a 5 in there, I think
I kind of feel the same. Now, we are doing some 5s. I mean, 5s are out there, especially today, on specific products and, maybe some points. And there's going to be lenders that are going to be aggressive in the 5. So I almost feel like we're there. To me, my biggest concern, and I want your take on this, if rates go down, okay, and we get right back into, because Illinois, we're still 63% below where we were in 2019, okay? So, and every year, inventory peaks around this time, and then it starts to slowly tail off to the end of the year. If we end up right back into multiple offers and that, do buyers really re-enter in that? Like, that's my concern is they've been waiting for rates this whole time. But if we don't have properties and there's multiple offers and they're right back into waiving contingencies, is that a risk? Is it better to have rates where they are right now and not with a 5? To get things I guess that's like what I always struggle with is, do I want to be, I would love rates in the 5s. And that'd be great for refinances, but I don't know if it helps the purchase market in Illinois. I think it helps it in states that have it. But do you agree? It could be negative?
Yeah, I do, because that's what we're talking to our clients with. If this happens, when it happens, it's going to be a totally different market. Do you understand that? And sometimes people can't make a move because of certain financial things or whatever. And I understand that part, but I'm completely of the same mindset to say this is a great market. Because you have time to make a decision. You can always refinance when they do drop. And then you're not overpaying for the house if you're a buyer. Right?
100%.
So I think it's like the best kind of scenario.
Where do you think the sellers are having the biggest struggle with right now?
What I'm experiencing the most is that they haven't found the place that they want to go to be able to let go of
their... So it's still an inventory issue.
It's still an inventory, a 2 to 3% rate that they have. They don't want to let go to that to buy a house that might not be their perfect house and now pay more. That's kind of what we've been experiencing.
So on the listing side, one of the questions I always love to ask is, when you list a house, do you have, because we're talking about processes and systems. So when you work with Dina, is it, this is the way that I work and these are the, processes that I have, and, because they're obviously hiring you for your experience and your services and your processes and your team and attorney and, all those people. Or do you tailor your listing, kind of how you do that specific to the client. And the reason why I ask that is that, we always have clients and we'll tailor it a little bit, but like it can also get very dangerous when you go down that road.
Yes.
So how do you handle that with different clients?
I, especially after being in leadership and talking to hundreds and hundreds of agents, the one thing I notice the most is the lack of consistent systems for the way they do business and for their buyer and seller clients.
Yeah.
And I realized how strong our systems were for that. And it made me really grateful and really proud of the fact that, oh my goodness, this is very few and far between from what I'm seeing. I mean, and I've seen a lot. The times that things didn't go right was when we stepped outside of our system or process.
Yeah.
And we thought, oh, this is this person, or it's okay, we'll deviate or whatever. Almost every time something wouldn't go quite right or quite as planned.
Yeah.
And so that's why we lean into our system so strongly, because it's tried and true.
So if a client says, Dina, I don't want to do showings that way, or I don't want to do this, are you accommodative to that, or are you?
That's a little bit different. If it's a showings thing, we want to make sure that we work with their comfort level. If they have pets, or if they, if they're not home or whatever.
Yeah.
We want to be comfortable, but we also advise them, okay, well, this is what's going to happen if we limit our access, or if, So we're not so rigid in that kind of part, but we're rigid on the back end. And how everything processes and how things flow. And it's going to set them up for better success in the long run.
Do you sell that when you're on a listing presentation? Because I think everyone focuses on price and everything. Are you, kind of selling your process and the team? And
that's a good question. I haven't done it probably the way I should. Because their mindset, all they want to hear is the price and the commission or compensation. And what we do lean into on our appointments is our track record. And say, this is why this works. And because we've done it almost 1,500 times, and we know that this works at a high level. And by doing this, you're going to get more money. And you're going to net more money at the end of the day if you're a seller.
And don't you feel like you're taking, because of your processes and the people that you have, you're taking stress off of a very stressful.
Absolutely.
You're making something that is a horrible experience for a lot of people. If you the average transaction doesn't go the way it does with Dina Furlow. So, because I experience it on my side as well, where people will have a bad experience, they come to us, and you hear everything that happened, and it's horrible. So, do you feel like that's one of your biggest, is be able to take something really stressful and make it easy?
That's what we say too. We say, we know that stress is going to happen. We know that this is a stressful transaction and experience. Our job is to lessen that load for you as much as possible, because we have a great system, a great process to be able to take care of A to Z, and then beyond. And that's absolutely what we emphasize, because that they need peace of mind. That's why they're hiring us. And what happens in the backside too is it gives us more confidence too, because we know what it's going to be like. And so when you do this is what your outcome's going to be. And
I think our ability, because we talked about it a lot, is being able to handle the ups and downs. I think as things are thrown at us, either, through the transaction, I always tell my team this, how we respond is how the customer will respond.
That's
if we're stressed, the customer's going to be stressed. They're looking to us to kind of, so if we're worked up, they're going to be worked up. And it's really sometimes was the hardest thing for me to learn earlier in the business. Is when a client would call me all worked up, I would get nervous. And then I'm projecting that nervous to them. Then they get even more nervous. But sometimes, and I loved how you said, whenever you deviated from the process, I always know the moment something goes wrong on a file, because I am so crazy about process and I have a process for everything. And I have an email template, and I have these notes and this. My team gets so aggravated with me because I was like, well, we didn't, I always say, well, if we would have done this would have never happened. Like, I know what didn't happen when we had, because I've done it so many times that if something doesn't happen, it's because we didn't follow our process. But I think that's what makes a good team great, is being able to, follow that process, have a process. Because as you said, most people don't even have their process defined. They're winging it.
And I did, so I understand that.
Oh, I mean, I was the same way for years until I realized how much it helped consumer experience. And if you really I always say like there's customer service and then there's customer experience. Customer service is great. If you ask any realtor or lender, of course I have great customer service.
Yeah.
Customer experience is like how you made them feel.
That's right.
That that they're going to walk away, they're going to want to refer you.
Yeah.
They were heard.
Yeah.
And that they're going to be a raving fan, and talk about you to every single person. And when you can create that experience, you're automatically, and most people just don't know how to create an experience.
Yeah. And we're always looking to elevate our experience. Always.
I mean,
it's
every day.
Okay, what else can we do to
Every
make
day.
it better for the client? What else can we do to make it easier? For that experience to be stellar?
We just had a conversation this morning because a customer we were doing a pre-approval with, and the referral called me and they're like, oh, they didn't like this. They wanted a rate before they gave them the application. I rarely will do that, and I just explained to the lead source, like, this is why I do it. But then after we talked with the customer, the realtor had called me back and they're like, okay, they totally appreciated why you did it the way that you did.
Oh, good.
And, so I think sometimes I always say you got to be careful to change your process over one.
Right.
Because there's just some people that aren't happy.
That's right.
No matter what you're doing, you got to be careful to
Yeah.
change your process too much because of one situation, because there's just certain times that things are going to happen. And the tendency is like, oh, we're going to change something, but it might not be a process issue.
Yeah. Right.
And you got to be careful and recognize those
Trying to
when they happen.
adapt to something that doesn't need adapting.
Exactly. So, getting into the business, I wanted to touch on this because, you dealt with a lot of newer realtors. So if you were getting into the business today and you were going to advise someone to get in the business, which I'm sure you've done, would you join a team? Would you what would be that path? What would that path look like?
It depends on what I always ask, what does your 5 and 10-year plan look like? And most of them go, I don't know.
I was going to say, how many people even have?
6 months. Yeah. And I said, well, I want us to slow down and think about what that looks like.
Do you feel like they got in the business for a lot of people get in the business for the wrong reasons?
I think they think it's just super easy.
Yeah.
And it's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. And not always do you make a lot of money.
No.
So I think it's kind of slowing back the conversation to ask more questions for that agent, because I've talked to so many agents about that, and say, why? Why real estate? And what does that look like in 5 or 10 years? Even if they haven't thought about it, it gives them more reason to slow down and say, okay, what do I want? So I say, okay, let's go 2 years. What does your business look like in 2 years that in a perfect world you'd like to see happening?
Yeah.
And then determine, okay, in order to get there, does it make more sense to be on a team, a strong team, or does it make more sense to just be an individual and go conquer the world like that? So it really depends. But I ask more questions now than I ever did before, because I want to hear their vision. I want to hear their forward thinking of what their plan looks like. And most of them, like you said, don't, but at least it starts the process of their thinking.
I love that, because I always say this to my team, like, being in this office is kind of like a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because you get to see everything.
Yeah.
You have this great office.
Yeah.
I have a podcast studio.
Yeah.
Like, it looks great.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a curse.
Yeah.
Because I have all these things.
Yeah.
And you never, nobody gets to see where I started and how hard it was the struggle.
That's right.
And I think, when you work with someone and you're on a team and you see that version of themselves, it's really important to know and understand that that's not the version when they started.
That's right.
And sometimes being around, I would have loved to been with a top producer and have that experience.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have that experience. I had to grind and learn the hard way.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard because I think a lot of people get in this business with really bad expectations of what reality is.
Yeah.
And it's like when you talk to people, they're so negative. They're struggling. The market sucks. To me, and you touched on it, which I love. Someone said to me, I always get, whenever I tell someone I'm in the mortgage business, the first thing they always say is, oh my God, you got to be, dying. Like, your rates are 7%.
Yeah, right.
And what people just don't understand, I actually love this market way more than I loved. You use the word order taker. I use that all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy that market. It was great financially, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't feel like I had an impact. I didn't feel like I was just basically, answering my phone and we were just just doing loans. That's it.
Yeah.
And it was nothing. Like now I feel like I feel like my services are more valued by people because of what I do and the team that I have and
That's right.
everything. Whereas before it didn't even matter because it was just, it was like, so when I say that to people, and I even told our owner that one time, he thought I was nuts. I just enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Like as crazy as it sounds, I enjoy this more.
I agree.
Because when you slow things down a little bit, it allows you to have a level of clarity on your business and the people around you that I just think you don't have when things are busy. So, well, Dina, this was, awesome. One of the things I always ask at the end, okay, we'll have a little fun here, is if you weren't in real estate and money was no object, okay, what would Dina Furlow be doing for a career?
I've been asked that.
Okay.
I've been asked that.
Okay, good.
And I still believe I'd be in real estate.
Really?
I would be in real estate.
That's awesome.
I would be. However, I would have a side little shop that has coffee in it and things like that. Yeah. But I'd still do real estate because it is absolutely my passion.
Yeah.
I love helping others and I love serving. So, but I would love to have a little coffee shop with some clothes. There's one in Tennessee that I'm obsessed with. And I walked in and I said, I could do this. This would be so fun. This is it. And there's my ADHD, right? I want to do that. And I want to do, and I've got the branding.
So do you make all your own coffee then? Do you not go to Starbucks?
I'm a coffee freak.
Yeah, so you're like a coffee snob, as they say.
100%.
Yeah, okay. So
100%.
you only make your own and it's like a whole process. Yep. Okay, I like that,
Yep. So I think I would do that because it's been on top, back there ruminating for a long time. But I know that takes a lot of work and a lot, and I don't want to do that.
Well, I know you like to travel.
I do love to travel.
Is that your passion outside of what I know you have, a daughter and a beautiful grandchild, but like
2 girls.
The 2 girls.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So like what is your like, outside of real estate when it's all said and done? Is that kind of where you enjoy it? Yeah.
My family, I mean, everything. Our family is everything. And travel, absolutely. If I could do 2 to 3 months a year traveling, I would do it in a heartbeat. Yeah. But I always love to come home.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time. It's like so great to come home though.
Yeah.
And then to be with everybody. And, that is our joy for sure.
We talked about that a little bit yesterday, how much once your kids have kids. Yeah. And you introduce them into the family, and you said you think your family's perfect, and then all of a sudden you get these,
you get more perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like more perfect person,
and it's all
family.
those experiences and everything that are just amazing.
We're not a perfect family. Let me rephrase that. That's not what I'm saying. It's just in your mind. I feel like I've got that. I'm so grateful, so blessed. Our family is just amazing. And so, I mean, absolutely. I love that part, and I love the travel, and I love doing it all together if we can, and I love to work out. So, all of that.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you for, coming in. I know we tried to do this one other time and we had like a snowstorm or something. Yeah. And I know you're headed out of town, so I appreciate you stopping in. And obviously, Dina was I didn't talk about this in the beginning, but when I first got into business, many people don't know, I actually got my real estate license first.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And Dina was, kind of very helpful during that time. Yeah. And that didn't last long. I immediately wanted to get into, I think I did one deal, and then I wanted to get into the mortgage business. So I got into the mortgage business. And, Dina was, nothing but, didn't, as a lender, you go to real estate office and nobody wants to talk to you. And you're like, oh my God, I don't have time for you. And you were always just so nice and respectful. And I just have such a great respect for you over the years. And I just always appreciate how professional, how great I always judge people how they treat my team, not so much me. Yeah, and you've always been so great to my team and complimenting them. So it's just been great to get to know you over the years. And I just wanted to thank you for that.
You too.
And we'll have to sit down and do this again here in the near future.
This was fun.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.